Hello and welcome to Insights, the podcast with your host, Joe Pane. Join me in this deep exploration of our personal journeys from ambition to meaning, where we stop living life fast and start living life deep. This is a journey of waking up and realizing that our lives have never been about us, but about others. True success leaves positive ripple effects on other souls. I believe that success needs to be redefined from our own personal ambitious endeavors to be redefined as the value that we leave and give to others around us. Join me now as we begin this journey to deeper connections, even more fulfillment, some fun, curiosity, life, love, and all good things. Your deeper journey from ambition to meaning starts right now. Hey everyone, it's Joe here. Welcome to episode 29. Appreciate very much you being here with me. And I'm loving, again, just enjoying and loving the comments and emails and messages I get from so many people every week, and it's deeply appreciated. Before I hop into today's episode, just a quick announcement actually, or a quick housekeeping announcement thingy, that if you're listening to this and you are deeply interested in behavioral profiling, the world of behavioral profiling, on May 28th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., I'm actually delivering a free training on behavioral profiling. And it's going to be on Zoom. And if you're wanting to come along, you can register for it. To register for it, just send me an email. It's Joe at joepane, JOEPANE, joepane.com.au. So joe at joepane.com.au. And I can send you the link. And feel welcome to come and join me on that day. So today, I thought I would demonstrate for you and demonstrate with you the power of the company that we keep. I don't know about you, but when you're around the wrong people, and I define the wrong people as not a judgment on them, as in people who are a mismatch to you, different values, don't appreciate what you do, or have no idea where you're coming from. You know what I mean? Like just people from different planets. And we're all, of course, metaphorically speaking, from different planets. And what I want to share with you is that you could be brilliant in one area of your life, and if you bring that skill or demonstrate that modality with the wrong people, how it can be. It's just a completely contrasting experience. So let me get really clear on what I mean here. So let me share with you a story about. This was actually shared with me by a fellow called Xander Pane, who was in one of my trainings. He works over at NBN. And he was in one of my trainings, and I was delivering my session on emotional fitness. And he shared this story with me. He sent this in an email to me. So Xander, thank you again for sharing that with me. It's I've enjoyed sharing it with my clients. So it's about a violinist. And back in 2007 in Washington, in a metro station at Washington, D.C., it was a cold January morning. So obviously over there in America, it's winter in January. The man with a violin, this particular man, played 6 Bach pieces for about 45 minutes. And during that time, about 2,000 people went through the station, most of them on their way to work. After 3 minutes, a middle-aged man noticed that there was a musician playing, and he slowed his pace and stopped for a few seconds and then hurried to meet his schedule. 4 minutes go by, right? 4 minutes later, the violinist received his first dollar. So he had a little hat there. He was, what do you call it? I was going to say basking. What do you call it when someone's out there playing an instrument hoping to make some money? Oh, anyway, the word escapes me. Anyway, so he got his first dollar. Basking. I'm sure it's another. I can't remember. Anyway, you're probably thinking, you're probably yelling out the word to me right now, but I can't hear you. So 4 minutes in, he makes his first dollar. Not bad. A woman threw the money in the hat and without stopping just continued to walk. 6 minutes later after that, a young man, leaned against the wall to listen to him, then looked at his watch and started to walk again. 10 minutes later, a 3-year-old boy stopped, but his mother tugged at him to hurry along, right? The kid stopped to look at the violinist again, but the mother pushed hard and the child continued to walk, turning his head all the time. This action was repeated by several other children. Every parent, without exception, forced their children to move on quickly. 45 minutes later, the musician played continuously. Only 6 people stopped and listened for a while. About 20 gave some money, but continued to walk at their normal pace. The man collected a total of $32. So an hour had gone by. So he made $32 for the hour. Not too bad. Not too shabby, as they say. He finished playing after an hour, took his $32, and silence took over. No one noticed, no one applauded, nor was there any recognition. No one knew this, but this violinist was a man called Joshua Bell, one of the greatest musicians in the world. He played one of the most intricate pieces ever written, with a violin worth $3.5 million. 2 days before that, Joshua Bell sold out a theater in Boston where the seats averaged $100 a ticket. This is a true story. Joshua Bell playing incognito in the metro station was organized by the Washington Post as part of a social experiment about perception, people's priorities, and do we recognize talent in an unexpected context? And I love this story because if you're in front of the wrong audience, displaying your passion, your talent, your skill, your abilities, it's so easy to be unappreciated, to be ignored. And our ego voices take over and start creating meaning around that. Like the man was playing a $3.5 million violin, and only 2 days earlier, people were paying $100 a seat, and he was sold out. And here he is in a metro underground train station who made $32 in 1 hour, and most people ignored him. Isn't that incredible? There was a story that the Beatles did the same thing. That they, I can't think of the word, they went out into the street incognito and they played some of their songs, and people just didn't believe it was them. Didn't even think it was them, let alone believe. So the point is this: the power of the company that we keep, the power of the people who we share our soul with, the power of the connection of the right people that we share who we are with, makes a massive difference to how we are perceived and how we perceive life and how we perceive them. And I just wanted to share this true story of this particular fellow, Joshua Bell, because I think it's quite pertinent. I know that in my career over the last 14 years or so, especially in my first few years, I was in the wrong place with the wrong people. I remember delivering a talk for 30 minutes at a networking event. I've delivered hundreds and hundreds, if not probably over 1,000 talks at networking events over these last 14 years. But I remember in those first couple of years, there was one particular one I did at this particular networking event that was of an evening in a nightclub with music playing and people having finger food. And then they introduced me. These people didn't know who I was. They introduced me, and I had to do a 20-minute presentation without slides, just me talking to the room. But I was ignored by about 90% of the people. And I'm no Joshua Bell. Please don't get me wrong. But I've also been in front of audiences who, I've got them on the edge of their seat, just leaning in and just taking everything in and just digging it, and just us enjoying the dance of human emotion and, all this amazing stuff that I love to share. And I remember that night driving home feeling so flat. This is from that nightclub. I know, never do a presentation in a nightclub. It's quite obvious. And there wasn't like music playing full pelt and dark lights or anything, dark lights, listen to my language. It wasn't like full on night. It was a nightclub room of, like a nightclub venue. They had music playing, but it wasn't full on. It was just in the background and people were having their finger food. But the point I want to make is that I felt like, I don't know how Joshua Bell felt. He probably didn't care because he's already an established master and he already had a concert 2 days earlier. But the point I want to make is that, if you're out there and you're beginning a new career or starting to build a new skill or carve out a new skill or start a new business and you're with the wrong people who don't appreciate what you're trying to do, your confidence can take a real big hit in the early days. And I remember driving home from this particular nightclub presentation, And my confidence was so flat. I felt so lowly. It was probably about a 30 or 40-minute drive home. And I remember as I was driving home thinking, maybe I'm not cut out for this. It was just ludicrous thoughts. And it was because I was metaphorically in a, metro train station talking to people who would ignore me because it's out of context. So I trust and hope that my intention here is in this particular episode is to share with you how you can be phenomenal at something, be in front of the wrong audience out of context, and be completely unappreciated, insignificant, and not even noticed. And it's got nothing to do with who you are or how good you are at that particular skill set, whatever the skill set we're talking about. And when I read this story, and when this fellow Xander from NBN there shared this with me, and Xander, if you're listening to this, deep appreciation. It's just this story just reminded me of how I've spoken to audiences that haven't appreciated my message in the early days, and I've spoken to audiences who deeply appreciate and dig my message, and the massive difference it makes to how I feel about myself and my career and what I do for a living. So I just thought I'd share this with you, just something different, something different in the sense that not so different to other podcasts I've done, but you know what I mean? Like, I thought I'd just share an interesting, unique angle, perspective, look at how things can be experienced completely different when we're, in front of an audience or a group of people that we're talking to that is out of context. So it's kind of like Clark Kent, like all of us, I believe, are Clark Kent, and we're all truly Superman and Superwoman. So Clark Kent is unappreciated in the office, but yet Superwoman and Superman are completely and utterly heroes to so many people. So I believe all of us in our lives are heroes to someone, whether it's to a son or to a daughter or to a partner or to a client or to an audience. And yet there's others that we just disappear into the background and are quite, insignificant. Isn't it incredible? So I trust and hope that the Joshua Bell sharing gives you some context, something to reflect upon. All right, so that's a wrap for this week. Thank you so much. And once again, if you want to join me, if you're into behavioral profiling, because I know that a number of you who listen to this podcast are coaches and really dig human behavior deeply. I know all of you dig human behavior. But if you're curious to know more about profiling and how it all works, that free event on May 28, as I said, is on Zoom. Just send me an email, joe@joepane.com.au, and I can send you the link. It's a training that is complete unto itself, which means you'll be learning some amazing skills on that particular day. And then for people who want to continue their journey deep down the rabbit hole of behavioral profiling, there's an accreditation training that I actually run later in the year. So, but this training, it's for people of all different walks of life. So if you're curious, feel welcome to email me. All right, guys, enjoy. Looking forward to tuning in next week for episode 30, my Lord. So thank you for listening in and tuning in to this particular episode 29. And enjoy your morning, enjoy your afternoon, enjoy your evening, wherever you may be, and talk soon. Bye for now. I'm Joe Pane, and you've been listening to Insights, the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you're thoroughly loving the journey of these messages, please feel more than welcome to leave a review. And be sure to leave a comment on what you've been learning and how useful this has been to you and how you've been sharing this with those around you. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'm looking forward to being with you again very soon in the next episode of Insights, the podcast.